Well, it's now a somewhat sunny Saturday morning. I've been doing a bit of looking about on the internet. I don't know if this might be a clue for my absolutely woeful radio reception, but this is one of the spare harnesses that comes with the Atoto. So, as you can see, this wire is described as power antenna. Now, what would come to mind for me would be an old school retractable antenna or aerial that goes up and down as and when you turn the car on and off. Now, I don't think I've seen one of those type of antennas for 20 years, maybe even 30 years, so I'm wondering if this does something to amplify the radio reception. So, first thing I'm going to have to do is go out to the car once more and see if this wire is unused in the I think it was ISO harness A or B, I can't remember what it was described as, but anyway, it wasn't this one, which lets you do your own connections into the existing car wiring. So I'm going to go out, have a look and see if I can find a spare one of these, and then I think the plan will be to connect that to something like an accessory wire, so that when you turn the car on, oh sorry, that's a constant, maybe it's a red one then, that's I should really stop looking at this through the camera and look at it with my actual eyes. So there's red's accessory ignition. So I would wire the blue wire, the blue would go to the accessory, and see if that works. It might not, but well, failing that, my next task is to look at wiring up the reverse camera. So 2 stages today. First one is to try and fix the radio reception, and the second one is to install the reverse camera. Well, I'm out in the car now. This is the spare ISO, so it's ISO connector A that I used. And I do notice on this one, which may be slightly different to the one in the car, there is this, no, what is that not? There is an FM power antenna. I don't know if you can see that properly, but it doesn't look very clear to me. But anyway, it does say power antenna plus or positive. So I'm going to take this trim off. Getting well versed at this now. Take that off and then see about connecting the FM wire or antenna wire to an accessory power or positive, and see if it makes any difference. Well, I'm back out to the car. I couldn't find my normal pry tool, so I had this one. That works fine, but it seems to have evaporated somewhere here overnight. So, right, so the next thing is the screws out, and then I need to look for this blue wire, whatever it was, and hook it up and see if it makes any difference and solves the radio reception problem. Alright, so that's handy. It's right there. It's not focusing very well, that, but anyway, it says FM on that side and power antenna. So what my plan is just to poke it into the red terminal there on the ISO and see what happens. Well, that absolutely failed. Didn't make a toss of a difference. So, well, back to the drawing board. So anyway, next thing I need to look at is the the wiring for the reversing camera.
How hard was it to manage? Because obviously
Right.
the very nature of letter writing,
So
everything's always
I've got
happening
the
off
I need to turn
stage.
this down.
And you have
I've got
20 different letter writers, about 100.
I've got the antenna cable plugged in, so I've got full reception. I've only got the ISO leads plugged into the stereo, and
You speak about the voices, so it was hard because I had
So,
to find the general tones.
there's no problem at all with that. So why is it when I plug the stereo into this one, the antenna into this one, I've got no signal, or certainly don't have any reception? So I don't know what that's about. Any clues? So if I look at the ISOs, so this is the one with the centralized bit. That's a centralized bit. It's got 8 connections. The one with the offset has 4 connections. So this is the offset one. Now only 4 of those are used. So what do all of these other wires do? So on this one, where it only has 4 connectors from the offset, that seems to be all related to power. So presumably this is the ignition wire, or maybe it's this one's the ignition. Probably dimmer, ground, and then the main 12 volt feed in yellow, as far as I'm aware. Not 100%. So if I look at the offset one, which is this one, there's all these extra wires. Now presumably this one, the mid, is to do with the midpoint ISO. That's all to do with speakers, I gather. So I don't think I'm looking at anything to do with the 8 as the problem. Again, I'm just brainstorming here, I'm not sure. So that'll be speakers, presumably, or predominantly speakers. So there's a blue and a pink wire there, which goes to the top right. So if I look at this top right, okay, so that one's the purple. So that's not what I was looking for. I was hoping to find something that was going to be like power antenna blue, or turn amplifier on, which is blue and white. So yeah, I'm kind of scrambling about here, but so it's white, orange. I'll need to look at this properly, but you can see on this one, with regards to this ISO connector, you've got the presumably the key operated dimmer, ground, and main 12 volt. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's a positive anyway, and this is a positive. So we've got 2 positives, a yellow and a yellow and a red, sorry. So I need to look at what else is in there that might have the function of performing the antenna power. I mean, I really don't think that's going to be related to an antenna that goes up and down, a telescopic one, because we've never used those for decades. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think it's more likely that's to do with a powered or an amplified antenna. But again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. So this this antenna connector, it's working fine as far as the factory radio is concerned, even though I've taken off the shroud, so there's no problems there. The part that remains to be seen is whether or not this part is working, or if it's simply that it does have a connection, but it needs to be amplified, because the factory one is amplified, but I don't know if the factory one is amplified. So I'll continue pulling my hair out. Right, so I've turned the ignition off. I've disconnected this little test wire, and I'm now trying to tune it in. I mean, we don't really need to go through this much more than it is, but there's no sound, there's nothing. I'll go back to the local station, 96.8. There's a bit of static. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a short length of cable, or I'll maybe put a T-tap into this wire here at the back and see what happens. Well, I thought I'd tidy things up a little bit, so I've put a little bit of heat shrink that I bought from AliExpress a couple of years ago. So hopefully that'll stay in place. The little coax bit is quite clearly, well, it is to the, there you go. The little coax bit's quite clearly visible. So that's tidied it up slightly. I'll probably put the shroud back on the original connector just to make sure that's okay. I'm quite happy with the audio. I don't think it's quite as strong a signal as my factory unit, but it's I'm definitely getting a radio reception, and I'm able to select channels. But I'll show you that once I've put this back together and gone back out to the car. Right, so definitely got reception now.
Found in there somewhere. If you look at like a Derek McInnes or something like that, he kind of finds that kind of happy region. But I always found it interesting the fascination at a club like Rangers, where Stuart McCall was probably when he was.
It's a bit iffy. That's that frequency that seems to come up for some reason, but I don't know what it is. This is the local radio station, Greatest Hits. I don't know if that's Radio 1 or something. Right, so at the moment I've just simply stuffed that wire into the orange and red one. I'm going to have to take this back out to wire in the rear dash cam. The weather's just absolutely awful at the moment, so I've still to finish the live feed to the reversing light and then run the yellow coax cable through the car, and then in the back here and in. So that's my next task. But so far I found out why I haven't got radio reception, and it's because you have to use, or it appears to be the case, that you have to use there, you see on the Atoto wiring harness, this is harness B, I think. Yeah, ISO connector B. So you'll see one that says FM and power antenna. For me, wiring that, as you'll see, it says FM there, and I've just joined it on a bit of black wire into that part of the ISO. The red wire with the orange stripe has restored radio reception. So that's good enough for me on this absolutely miserable, steamy windowed Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to put all this back together again, sorry. Get the fascia unit back in, and then I've got my rear door panels in the back seat ready to sort out the wiring for the dash cam, which hopefully will be the next phase of this. So I've actually taken that shroud off again, because I don't think it was at quite the right angle somehow. I think these DIN adapter to FACRA things are obviously very cheap and cheerful. Maybe not quite so cheerful, but it just, well, I did actually slightly tweak the angle of that, and then the reception improved greatly. So if you've got problems, double check your FACRA DIN connector, which may just be very cheap, but I can't complain. It was just over £1. It was like £1.20 or something, so it's obviously not the best quality. And then once you've got that sorted out, if you've got a problem and you're on a Kia Ceed, if you look at the back of your factory ISOs, you'll see that orange stripe with the red wire right in the middle of the screen there where the black cable's gone in, and that should restore radio reception. Now, any questions, feel free to ask, and well, if you feel inclined, please like and subscribe. Thanks very much. Have a good weekend. Well, here's the proof of the pudding. Reception is working fine. I haven't tried the AM reception. AM, I can't say I've listened to AM for a very long time. That's presumably populated it with non-existent stations. Well, I have no idea what is available on AM. Don't think I've listened to AM since probably the 80s. So anyway, FM's fine. That'll do for me. Local. I think this is Radio 1. That's quite good reception, I'll say that. So anyway, before I break some sort of music license type regulation, there we go. And then if you don't know how to set your clock, press and hold that. It will start flashing, and you just toggle through. So anyway, I'll do that. So anyway, I'll go now and get myself a wee cup of tea.